Hey there, welcome to the show. I'm Nicole Holland, your host, and I'm thrilled to bring you the Fascinating Founders podcast, where we dive in and uncover the stories that came before the success of some of the world's most fascinating founders. Hailing from a multitude of industries and socioeconomic starts, you are going to learn what's made these fascinating men and women realize their dreams from an inspired idea to millions in revenue, disrupting, innovating, and impacting humanity for the better. You never know what's going to come up in our casual conversations, so get your notebooks ready, cozy up with a great cup of joe, and join us as I dive in to learn how these inspiring individuals have figured out how to thrive in a time where most people give up on their dreams. Today, for Season 1, Episode 1, I am so honored to bring you Tom Breeze. He is the founder and CEO of Viewability, a company specializing in YouTube advertising, boasting an impressive client list of international, personal, and corporate brands. With a pay-for-results financial model, Viewability oversees over $100,000 a day in ad spend. Tom's also a speaker, author, and consultant, teaching businesses around the world how to advertise successfully on YouTube. Tom, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Nicole. It's good to be here.
What I want to kick off with is back before you started your first business, how did you know that entrepreneurship was your calling? How did that kind of come to be?
Good question. So I think that when I first started thinking entrepreneurially, I suppose, I think it's probably ingrained in me from a very young age in the way that my dad ran his own company. He's an accountant and still does it to today. And he's always loved and thrived in business. Like he's always enjoyed his job, loves client meetings. So I used to see him leave the door, work ridiculously hard, but come back with a smile on his face. And he'll go through tough times, good times. And so I saw that on a day-to-day basis growing up as a kid. And throughout, I suppose, like with that tendency from a father figure that was able to kind of be that person constantly, you start to realize their behavior typically on a day-to-day basis tends to be pretty entrepreneurial. So we'd do crazy things like we'd buy things on eBay when I was younger and then go and sell them at like a car boot sale for more expensive. And we'd be like, oh my God, we made a profit of 50 cents or something like that.
You did that with your dad?
Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
We tried loads of little things to make money, not the traditional way of doing a job, basically. And then we'd do crazy things like, so I used to play quite a bit of poker online, just recreationally more than anything else. And my dad used to do it as well. And we used to kind of like log into one account and the next person log into their account and play. And then what we realized would be better is if we actually just joined accounts and earn a seed money and see how far we can grow it. And we made a lot of money from doing online poker together. And that like 1 year paid for the whole family Christmas and that type of thing at quite a young age. So there were like really cool, fun things that I was doing there. And then my brother started his own company. He's 3 years older than me. And so then it made me feel like, well, maybe I could do that as well. And I had the perfect opportunity to begin because I did psychology at university for 3 years. Then I carried on doing my master's for a couple more years. And I was given opportunities to go and work at companies immediately after that sort of experience. But it'd be more like there's definitely a kind of an educational path that they recommend to you to say, hey, now you've got your master's. Now why don't you become a doctor? And that's how they'll get your PhD. And I was kind of moving in that direction. But I just thought to myself, well, I'm in so much debt as a student right now. Like, how much worse could it get if I try a business and it fails? So I was like, let's just see what I can do. And with the skills that I had, I started up my own practice of kind of working with clients on a one-to-one basis. I was like 25 at the time, I think. So I definitely wasn't able to help them with lots of different things in their lives because they would have come to me and think, this is a 25-year-old. What the hell does he know about life right now? And so I started out with just working with people with anxiety issues. So started up like the business. My dad really helped me out with working out how to actually form a company, making sure I registered for all the tax. And that's the beauty of having a dad as an accountant. That issue just goes away immediately, which is great. I don't have to think about that stuff. And the banks used to lend like nobody's business. So that was great. I got a loan from them immediately. And I was very wet behind the ears, but I just started. And I was quite, unlucky and then really lucky. So I kind of put most of the money that I got for a loan into some local advertising in papers, newspapers, did some PR. There's always the really expensive stuff, and there's not really much to go on in the early days. And did some Yellow Pages advertising. I spent about £5,000, which is about $7,000 US, and literally nothing came of it. I was like so excited. I was like, here it goes. Here's how business is done. I'm going to become so rich here and help so many people. And just fell flat, like zero calls whatsoever. And so I realized I've just been sold poorly on, and it just wet behind the ears, I suppose, more than anything else. And then a leaflet came through the door that was a £30, like $40 free voucher for Google AdWords at the time. And so I used that. I was like, okay, well, this is free advertising. I might as well work out what this actually is. Didn't even understand what Google AdWords was. Kind of Googled it, and I was like, oh, okay, this looks pretty cool. And ran my first ad. And on the first day, I spent about £20 of the £30 voucher, and I closed 2 bits of business. Like my phone just immediately called, and each bit of business was £240. So I made £480 from like a £20 investment. And I was like, oh, okay, this works. And no one was doing it at the time.
Wait, was it even an investment? Because it was free money, right? It was like a voucher.
Yeah, investment of time maximum. That was it. Yeah. So it was literally, I just followed what they told me to do, Google, which I wouldn't recommend doing these days. But it was literally just write an ad with your phone number in it type thing. And say, I can help people with the fear of public speaking. That's what I decided to focus on. And I picked up, like, as I say, 2 clients on day one, and the phone just started ringing. And I was like, okay, cool. So I reinvested and put some more money in. And that's when it all just began. And I started getting clients booking in on a one-to-one basis. I was really good at the public speaking fear side of things as well. So that was really lucky. But I would just book people in for like a breakthrough session, I called it, where it's like a 4 hours. Come in, come see me. I'm going to fix it forever. You go back and do your public speaking and you're going to be great. And that's what I focused on. And I kind of grew that business without realizing like what I was really doing. I wasn't very business savvy at the time. I started a business, and you just get, like, I think most people, when they first get started, you just trying to spin plates and see what you can, like, you just, loads of things are happening at one time. You're like, okay, cool, I've made some more money, that's great. And now the bank wanting, and now I've got to pay some tax, what's that? All that sort of stuff that was coming through. So it was just a really exciting time. And it was always like embarrassing at the time as well, because I knew how much I was spending on advertising and how much I was making on advertising. And all my friends and all the people around me just didn't, like, when I tried to explain Google AdWords to them, they're like, what are you talking about? This is crazy. And then I was also doing psychology. So I was like, what the hell are you doing with people? This is really strange. And it's just because of my age and my friendship group, like no one was doing that. Everyone was like starting their first job in the city, being a banker or in insurance or something along those lines. So I had a very different existence. And I would work from like 10 in the morning until 2, and then I'd be done, actual one-to-one work. And then I'll be like, building a business after that. So it was a funny time, and very kind of changed my identity, I suppose, with myself and also with my friends and things. And then it kind of started to snowball, because I realized I was doing just purely one-to-one work. I didn't realize other people could maybe help me in the company. That didn't cross my mind for some reason. And I was trying to work out how I could help more people. So I did like a workshop for business owners who wanted to get really good at presenting. And that sold out because I promoted it pretty hard with email marketing. But then what I ended up doing with one promotion is I ended up using a video. I got challenged by someone to put some audio on my website. That was like the coolest thing at the time, to see if you can add some audio to your website. And I was like, I'll do one better. I'll put a video on there. And YouTube was just becoming a thing. And so I put my video on YouTube and I embedded it in my website. And it took ages to create the video. I was terrible when I first got started. But I created this video, and my conversion rate on my site went from about 7% to 22%, literally overnight. And I was like, oh, okay, this video thing is something that is working well. And then when I ran the workshop with these business owners, so many of them came up to me and said, I want to learn how to do that video that you did on your website. That was really cool. How can I do that? So I used to teach people then how to create their own videos for their site. And it kind of just snowballed into a video production company. Then we started doing SEO just to provide more service to people. And then when the SEO world kind of crashed and died very quickly for video, especially, like we had some incredible rankings of clients, like on the front pages of Google and YouTube for words like public speaking, presentation skills, online marketing, that type of thing, like in the good old easy days of SEO. And then it all kind of come crashing down with Penguin and Panda and all the Google updates. And at that point, I had like a client of mine that was really successful. I'd built such a good relationship with them, and their rankings dropped. And I was just embarrassed. I was like, I don't know how to get it back for you. And this might be the end of my company. And I was really worried. And I was like, do you know what? We've reserved quite a bit of cash here. And so I decided to just run a new Google AdWords from what I'd done previously. And then what I did is I said, I'm going to take their video and promote it as a YouTube ad and just see if I can do anything with that. And I started running the ads, and it started working, I believed. I was like, I think it's working pretty well, but I don't know. So I called the client. I was like, I know we've lost the rankings, but how are those ads working out for you? And he said, they're working really well. Like, they're more than usual. They're spending money, and I'm happy to keep it going. I was like, great. How much do you, because I was funding it at the time. I was like, how much are they worth to you? And he was like, about £30 per lead that's coming through because they're buying all this other stuff that's going on. I was like, okay, cool. How much would you be happy to pay me for one of these leads that are coming through? And he's like, well, why don't I give you £10? And I was like, that kind of works, because for me, it was costing anywhere between £4 and £6 for me. So I was like, I was doubling up on ad spend, and the client was happy, and we were growing and scaling. And I never really looked back at that point. We built YouTube ads now for so many different types of clients all over the globe. And we build the creative, we run the ads counts, but we run our agency now in a way where we fund the advertising and clients pay for results. And the margin is not always as good as that, what I talked about before. It's normally kind of around about 20% or so. But we're now able to almost like partner with clients. We have great relationships with them. We've worked with them for years. We scale up, and I think it's the best way of running an agency. And that's kind of how we've got to be where we are today. But it's been one of those like evolutions as we've been going through, like from public speaking to video creation to SEO to advertising. It's just, I think what I've been doing is seeing where the opportunity is and then going all in when I see it. And it's just, that's the path of which we've created, I suppose, and how we've grown the company to where it is today.
Amazing. I love that. How, everybody has a different story, and all the stories are fascinating. But it's not common that we hear that the first thing kept on going, right? A lot of founders, they've tried a bunch of things in the past. And so it's really, really interesting how it just, as you said, the evolution kept on going. And so ads, you figured it out early and you just kept going with it. And
well, I mean, the thing is with all of this is that it's been underpinned by psychology for me. Like, everything I've done along the way has been very much like understanding the human psyche and understanding like what people are likely to be going through, putting that empathy on and saying, okay, cool. What are they going through right now? What's going to change? What change are they looking for? And how can I kind of make sure that we position the products and services that we sell, whether it be my own stuff, whether it be theirs, it's understand this human psychology first, and it all starts there. I mean, I've written a book about this thing. We call it Viewability because it's the name of the agency as well. But it always starts with the user and understand, like, how can we think about what they're going through and provide them with what they're looking for? And then marketing becomes so much easier. But the big breakthrough I had probably about 2 or 3 years ago was when we're running ads, and we've always tried to focus on the problem and then being the solution to that problem, being very direct response with it as well, to say, hey, you got this problem, we got this solution, marry them up. But the big breakthrough where we have much better results is when we figured out the creative part. And the creative part for anything that we look at now really boils down to the fact that there's all these kind of hacks you can do and everything, and all these ways of positioning something and being clever about like the way you phrase something, the language patterns and things. And that's all very useful. But the thing that really makes a big difference is understanding that human psychology is all about status and identity. And if we understand what people are going through and how they see themselves in relation to their friends and what their friends and family are thinking about them, it makes it far easier to start selling products and services, because you get to understand what actually drives them on a daily basis. Like, as crass or as uninspiring as it might sound, we all behave based on how we think other people will perceive us, whether that's in a positive light, like I'm gaining status, I'm gaining that kind of like credibility, or whether it's basically like I was when I was growing my business. I felt like I was the odd one out, but I kind of liked it in a way. Like I reveled in that status as well. It's like, I'm not part of this normal kind of go to the city and have a job type attitude. I was very much like, I'm building my own thing here. And I kind of liked it. It was scary because it could have like blown up in my face, and very nearly did a few times. But it's kind of like understanding people's psychology it makes it so much easier to be a very good marketer. And if it starts with status and identity, how we see ourselves and how we see ourselves in comparison to other people and how they perceive us, then if we get really clear with that, then it normally boils down to status, and then it kind of like writing ads becomes a lot easier, and positioning products and services becomes a lot simpler as well.
Very cool. So I don't know if this is too personal, but tell me if so, we can cut it out. What is this? How does your ideal buyer, like the partner, the buyer that you can support the most, how do they see and perceive themselves?
So we see ourselves as a hierarchy.
Not you guys, but like for the person that comes on board with Viewability.
Oh, as in our clients?
Yes. How do they perceive themselves or company?
Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah. So when it comes to YouTube advertising, if it's a large company that's looking to come onto YouTube, if it's a very large company, it's normally down to becoming part of the marketing mix. And really the person that's making the decision, whether it's like a CMO or whether it be someone junior to that, someone's making decisions to say, we want to get Viewability to be our YouTube ad agency. Let's say, for example, it's a CMO. What they're looking to do is have that comfort in knowing that we can do a good job, so they can show to other people, we've employed Viewability to do our YouTube ads because they have all the credibility and I can put my trust in them. And it's no longer my fault as a CMO if it buggers up. That's what they want to say, really. That's their status is very much like, I've made a good decision because you can see all the reasons why I've made this decision, and everyone can respect my decision. There's no doubt that this was a good decision, even if it's like they chose a different agency. They're looking for someone to be like, I can absolve responsibility if this all goes badly. Because it's like, well, this is what I was promised. They've done it for other people, and we just were unlucky. Whether like that's kind of what they're thinking. They want that safety bet of saying like, I don't want to lose my status of being CMO to the rest of my staff and my people who are higher than me as well. So that's kind of a big play in their minds. And so we know that a big part of like putting ourselves in front of the bigger companies is very much like, look, you can trust us. Like it's very low risk. We'll fund the advertising. You pay for results. You're not going to struggle with this. So that's kind of when at a big company. At a smaller company where it might be a really fast growing company, like might be lightweight in the kind of number of people working in the company. I mean, it might be the owner that we're talking to. At that point, they're probably doing it for that identity or that significance. They're saying, I want to be on YouTube because I want to be like these other people that I see who are getting huge followings. I want to be like that person as well. I want to have 1 million subscribers as well. And I want to be able to say, great, we've diversified our advertising. So it's again looks as a diversifying advertising is a good play for sure. But behind that might be, I need to make sure I maintain the level of success I've got right now, because then in front of other people, other business owners, we're still in that group of like people that are doing ridiculously well. They want to see themselves there all the time and they don't want to slip. They're scared of having a fall on one platform, not performing the same way any longer. So like right now on Facebook, it's going through quite a volatile time and people are worried because they're like, I might lose a load of money and it might not work out as it has been in the past. And that's going to drop my status because I'm going to look stupid, or I'm going to look less intelligent, or I can't run a company as successfully as I have done in the past. And so that falls upon the status play again. And that's normally what, like the money is one thing, but the money normally buys status, which is a big part of it.
This has been so good.
If you could sum up your very best advice for any business owner wanting to follow in your footsteps, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I think that the best way to get to success quickly with any kind of agency type model or anything you're selling is to take away any risk for the person to do business with you. It might sound counterintuitive, but we've always done things where we've made it so easy for people to say yes to work with us. And it means you don't have to put loads of effort and time and resources into selling. You end up putting all that effort into delivering. So it becomes so much easier and the clients love it. And you end up getting a much better deal. So for us, we fund the advertising and clients pay us for results. In most agencies, what will end up happening is that the agency spends the client's money and takes a kind of a 10 to 20% commission on top. We don't like it that way because the client is the relationship's wrong, I feel, in my mind. It doesn't mean you're not going to deliver well or anything like that. It's just the setup is wrong, because it's like, it means you're going to have to sell hard to become that agency for that client. And they're always going to be thinking, is this the best deal we could be having? Change that up so it becomes whatever customer you're selling to, remove the risk for them, make it easy for them to say yes, and then just over deliver and do a brilliant job. Build all those resources into the delivery side of things, and life as a service provider becomes so much easier and so much more enjoyable for everybody involved.
So good. And such a refreshing view. It's definitely different than one we generally hear. So I would love it if you can share a little bit about how my audience can connect with you if they want to either take a next step with you in terms of working with Viewability, finding out about that. Also, you speak all over the world. You speak at a lot of conferences. You're an author. So if you just anything you want to share to help us keep connected with you beyond this interview would be amazing.
Yeah, of course. So one of the easiest ways is just to type in tombreeze.com, and most of my stuff is there. So you're going to find out loads of stuff there. If you're more interested in the agency side, then there's viewability.co.uk. We have the agency there. We also have some training products there as well if you want to just learn how to run YouTube ads for yourself or for your clients. And then if you just want to dive into a book, then my book Viewability is on Amazon, and just Google that, just search it on Amazon and you'll find it. And it's kind of feels like all my blood, sweat and tears went into writing that book, and it's still very applicable today. So it's definitely worth a read. You could read it on an airplane like for 4 hours and pretty much know the psychology of how to think about YouTube advertising. And that will really help you out.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks again to Tom Breeze from Viewability for being my guest on today's episode and for sharing his founder's journey story with us. I always find it super inspiring when parents pass on real life lessons to their children that will impact them in ways way beyond the norms. I loved hearing about how his dad really instilled a strong work ethic in him by being a true role model, as well as teaching him from an early age how to create profit from any entrepreneurial endeavor. How Tom's applied those lessons throughout his life and in large part has gotten him to where he is today is super inspiring and something we can all, especially parents, really learn from. Thanks again, Tom. We'll have links to connect directly with Tom, check out his work, and the full transcript from this episode and more in the show notes, which you can find at fascinatingfounders.com. Until next time, this is Nicole Holland signing off.